y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy here with Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for joining me today. I am coloring up this beautiful fish image from the Fishin stamp set that was released on May 15th, 2022, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It is from the Fishin stamp set, as I said, and there are several beautiful images in there. DoveArt has some amazing imagery. Her artistry is fantastic, very realism. Very much realistic, and to be honest, sometimes I struggle with realistic because I don't do realism per se, but this particular image reminded me of going fishing with my family in Colorado when we would always get some trout. So I see rainbow trout in these fish. I don't know what y'all see, and I don't know one fish from another, to be honest, but these are just lovely. And so I stamped them out on some Arches cold press watercolor paper. I also heat embossed, and since I was using my fancy paper, I decided I would use my fancy stamps or my fancy watercolors as well. So I pulled out my Daniel Smith. They were gifted to me by a sweet crafty friend a while ago, and I love them. And I'm also using my Black Velvet Silver Series paintbrush here. I think this is a number 6, also gifted to me by my sweet crafty friend. And earlier you saw me using a larger green paintbrush to do that background. That was a number 12 Royal and Langnickel, and I got it on clearance. So, you know, you just use what you have. But again, kind of a fancy image with that beautiful realistic artistry, and I just wanted to use my fancier supplies. So there you can kind of see the image. It was more at a distance, so you could see a little bit more of a, I don't know, a bird's eye view, I guess, if you will. But just bringing in some greens and some yellows, a little bit of like an ochre yellow or a mustard yellow, and then I wanted to add some more of that green up there and just kind of have it bleed down into the yellow. And there is my stamped, heat embossed and painted image. Now I painted that background with that kind of green so that it would match that green pattern paper that I'm using. There you could see the whole stamp set. You could see all the beautiful images, and this is that pattern paper, that green frame that I'm using. And the idea that I have in my head is a Polaroid picture, and you can see the Polaroid frame cut out there at the top right. And I was hoping that I would get enough of the fish behind that opening, but I didn't, and I didn't want to lose any of that artistry. So I changed that plan here in just a minute. But these pattern paper pieces, try to say that, guys, they are die cut out with the rectangle shaker maker dies, and I think that works perfectly for my purposes here. I love this pattern paper. It's the Farmhouse pattern paper, again released mid-May 2022, and they're just perfect for what I'm doing here today. Perfect for lots of reasons, for lots of purposes. So yeah, you definitely want to check those out. If you like Farmhouse at all, you want to check it out. So here is where my Polaroid idea takes a bit of a turn. Like I said, I did not want to lose any of this beautiful fish image. And I almost feel weird calling fish beautiful, but they are. I mean, they just are. The way Jennifer Dove has drawn them up, again, her artistry is just beautiful. So fussy cutting them, but with a wide border so that you can still see some of that very pale green. And at this point, it wouldn't matter if it coordinated with the pattern paper or not, but I just really wanted to keep some of that in there. And again, it's a very, very pale, like you probably can't even tell it's green unless you held it up to something white. So in terms of the fussy cutting, just a tip, I think I've probably shared it before. Obviously you move your scissors a little bit, but the key is to move the image more than you move your scissors. That will give you a nice smooth cut every time. So I have fussy cut them out. I'm holding them up to the pattern or the Polaroid cutout and then against the pattern paper just to kind of see placement, just auditioning my pieces like I always do. So here I use some of my liquid glue, and I'm actually making my window this time out of some vellum instead of acetate. I just wanted something a little bit different. I will be using the matte black confetti from This Calls for Confetti. Now Lisa over at This Calls for Confetti has lots of beautiful stuff, beautiful products, new products in her store coming all the time, and she has a lot of exclusives with Whimsy stamps. This one is not one of the Whimsy exclusives, but you guys, again, you just want to check her out because she's amazing, both here on the Whimsy Stamp store as well as over at her own store. And I'll have everything linked and listed below. All the products that I'm using, both Whimsy and this calls for confetti. So you can see that I'm adding my foam tape. I often don't show this part of the process just because I feel like it's a little mundane. No one wants to see that, but it's very important because you really have to have the right size foam tape, and you have to make sure that your edges are butted up together really tight, or whatever your shaker bits are going to come flying out. Ask me how I know. I've had way too many shaker bits go flying across the room, so you want to make sure that your edges are butted up really tight against each other and that it's just the right width. So there I cut off the excess of the vellum, and I have a little bit of wet glue again just so I have some wiggle room, and I'm laying that down at a bit of an angle, as you can see. Now if you notice, the pattern paper, the checkerboard pattern paper, is cut at a wonky angle as well. That again was on purpose. I just wanted to add a little bit of whimsy, if you will, to this otherwise kind of serious card with that realistic image. But I just think that it was kind of fun to put it on an angle and just do something a little bit different. And again, bring back that whimsy. And adding this sentiment, I do declare, from that Sweet Sass release, or Southern Sass. I'll have to make sure that I put the right name up on the screen. But there were several fantastic sentiments that came out of that line, and they're just so much fun. And again, just adding some whimsy to an otherwise very serious card. So I feel like it has a good balance. And, you know, the I Do Declare can be, you know, talking about the one that got away, or how beautiful these three fish are. It can be whatever you want the story to be of this card. I just think it's fun. And so I had to make sure that I had all the elements to that sentiment, including the tittle. Now, if you ever lose the dot to your I or your J, there are lots of ways that you can fix that. You can use a sequin, or a confetti, or you can use like some Nouveau crystal drops or something like that just to add that dot. Or you could even just die cut another one, or draw it on. It's just black, so you can fix that in many different ways. But I didn't have to come up with a fix on this one. I actually kept it all, and I have it all put together, and I'm really happy with it. I love the way those shaker bits just are subtle in the background, but they're still very present, and that fish just takes center stage amongst all of those other beautiful elements. So guys, tell me what you think. I mean I had a lot of fun with this. I'm falling in love with the art from DoveArt. She also had another one come out the 15th. It was called Grad. Again, some more beautiful images for graduation. So guys, as I said earlier, everything is listed and linked downstairs. We would invite you to join us over on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all the socials, and like, subscribe, comment, all the things. Guys, you're amazing, and thank you again for joining me. And until next time, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy for Whimsy Stamps. Mwah! I'm out.